Mox, welcome to the show. It
Hey,
is so good to have you. Obviously, you've been on the show before on the Keep It Wise, but this is the first time that we've had like a solo, like proper episode together. I
yes.
think you were also on the one with Edwa and Amanda, but we haven't
Yeah,
had like solo me and you talking about a
yeah,
specific topic
yes.
type of thing. So, welcome to the show. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. And yeah, I mean, I know the last time I was on, or the first time I was on was like in a group setting. So yeah, I think this is way overdue, as I'm sure you know that too. So I'm excited. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and I'm really excited because obviously this episode is focused on our friendship through the years and like
Mhm.
friendships in general, navigating friendships as an adult and all that stuff. So I think you're the perfect person to have this conversation with because our friendship has been so solid. It's been over a decade. How many years now?
It's been 14 years.
14?
14
Wait, are you
years.
serious? We
Yeah,
met
because
in
we met at
2008
14.
and now we're 28. Oh
Mhm.
my god. What? Nah, that's crazy.
It is
So I
great.
think the first thing we should talk about is how we met.
Yes. Yes. So how we met. So Jummie and I met in high school. And I remember, you know, during like the first few weeks, for me anyway, just trying to find my group, trying to, get comfortable in my new environment. I came from the public school setting. So a lot of my friends had gone on to the public high school. And so I was really starting from fresh or from scratch anyway. And so we had a health ed class. And I remember sitting at the desk and Jummie was nearby. And, again, and I feel like this will always be the question of the century is like, what initiated
Mm-hmm.
conversation between you and I? But I know that whatever that was, it's like you just have that instinctual feeling like, okay, I feel good with this person and I
Yeah.
just met her. And so that banter back and forth, it's as if our souls knew each other from a
Mm-hmm.
past life or
Yes.
something.
Period.
And that was the start. And we just
Mm-hmm.
continued that momentum up until this point of 14 years.
Yes.
But so it started with health ed class
Yeah.
and just initiating conversation with one another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I would never forget that because, most people that know me, most of the time,
Mm.
I study people before I start talking to them. And people say, oh, maybe she's shy, but it's me. Like, I want to know how to approach you. And I think what was so special about our connection was I think I was the one that just started talking to you like a parrot, and I wouldn't shut up. And I just kept talking to you, and I haven't stopped talking to you since then. So, like you said, it was just kind of like I already knew you, even though I didn't know you. I, hadn't seen you or, been around you prior to high school. So it was just kind of like that instantaneous click. But
Yeah.
when you're that young, you don't realize like, oh, okay, there's this click here. You're just like, oh, okay, this is
Yeah.
a new friend.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like okay post high school because
Mhm.
obviously in high school like you're friends with people but you're not thinking about it like it's deep, right? It's just like,
Of
oh, this is
course.
my friend.
Yeah.
So post high school, because our friendship so far has stood the test of time.
It really
So I just
has.
want to talk about how it was for us post high school and why do you think that we've been friends this long?
Yeah. So, post high school, you went to Maryland for college. I went
Mm-hmm.
to Philadelphia. And I think the natural progression in our college years is that again a new setting, you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
find your niche, trying to find your group, and also a lot of self-discovery is going on during that
Yeah.
time. So of course you have your own set of friends, you're going through experiences. I have my own set of friends, I'm going through experiences, but I feel like you and I always had this undertone of still keeping each other in the loop in such a way that months haven't gone by and I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what's currently going on with you. I may not know the day to day, updates to that situation, but I do know that X situation is happening. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
for what it was worth, that again, 18 years old, 19 years old, is still a pretty good standing to have with somebody
Yeah.
being in two completely different states.
Yeah.
Um, and so then again, we graduated college, you moved back to Boston. I was still living in Philadelphia, and so we kind of like maintained that same rapport as well. But I do think, of course, not being in college anymore, we do have a little bit more time to really kind of go back to the dynamic in high school of really knowing like the day-to-day updates. And
Mm-hmm.
it's again like any 20-something-year-old, we're all in this weird phase of trying to figure out what our next move is going to be. Are we going to pivot our career from the degree that we got in college? We're experiencing, relationship difficulties, experiencing love and some of the toxic facets of love, and just trying to make sense of that too. So with all of this kind of swirling around, I think, you know, it was the best timing for us to kind of go back to that dynamic. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and I think that's even where we are now, just really, we talk in a 7-day week, we talk every day, to be quite honest, because
Yeah. We
you and I
communicate.
send each
Yeah.
other memes and gist and things through Instagram. So really it is a daily dose of Jummie for me. But again, that's rare.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like that for even like the closest of friends, the best friends, it's not that. So I'd consider myself very blessed to have that kind of dynamic with you, because it kind of feeds my like security in our friendship too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, you make such a great point because even, in high school we were close.
yeah,
But I don't think we realized that we were close. I mean, like, I don't think I was actively thinking like, oh, this is a close friend. Like, I wasn't thinking too deep about it. It was just like, oh, Mox is my friend. We get along. And then in college, like you said, you went to a different school. I went to a different school, but we kept in touch. We didn't know every single thing about, like, we didn't know the intricate details, but we knew enough. Like, if
yeah,
somebody was to ask me like, oh, what were some of the major things that you were going through in college or things you were experiencing, I think I would know
yeah,
most of it, if not all.
mm,
So, and I in college, I didn't feel like we weren't close. It was just kind of like we're both doing our own thing because I would go visit you in school, you'd come down to visit me, but we had our own group of friends, right? And we let each other do our own thing without feeling like, oh, I haven't heard from you in a month or two, so I'm gonna pull up or something. But I think, like you said, the intentionality of our friendship started to like really hit post
yeah.
college,
Post
because
college.
at that point, like me moving all the way to Boston and you're still in Philly, that's like now a 6 hour difference from just being like 2 hours away from each other, and still talking every single day. And I don't think I knew it at the time that that was like me. It didn't feel like I was going out of my way to maintain the friendship.
Yeah.
Again, our friendship is so easy,
Mhm.
and we don't overthink it whatsoever. I mean, in this particular dynamic, because different friendships call for different dynamics, but in our particular dynamic, it's so easy for me to blow up your phone 1,000 times and not feel uncomfortable by it. And like you'll probably pick up 999 of those times, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I think that now that as we're developing into ourselves, like who we are as women, and now having an understanding like, okay, part of who I am and part of what I've become, I have to, give Mock some of that credit, right? Because you were there with me. You've been there with me my whole adult life thus far. And like, like when you're becoming or growing into the woman that you're supposed to be, you're making crazy mistakes. You're
Yeah.
doing crazy things. And just to have someone who's on a similar journey, who has sense, and we can kind of like give each other like good advice and point each other in the right direction, is such a gift. And I'm glad that we realize that it's such a gift. And something else about our friendship is we don't really fight. We haven't had
Yeah.
like a big blowout which is rare for like a decade plus relationship.
I agree. It's even odd. It's
It's
very
very strange.
strange.
Yeah.
Um, and if somebody is to ask me why that is, I mean, I can speak on maybe tools that I think both of us maybe rely on,
Mm-hmm.
but at even at that, I just think that, like I said, I do think it's a little odd because someone may look at our friendship and say, okay, you guys have literally gone 14 years without fighting. So what will happen when you actually fight?
Mm.
Like how will you guys navigate that?
Yeah.
But to that question, it's like, okay, well, I know my emotional intelligence level. I know how I approach difficult conversations. I know that I love Jummie like a sister, and I'm very big on not making, permanent dents off of a very much temporary situation, which
Mm-hmm.
is being mad at somebody. Right. So I know the value that I place in this friendship, and I know how much it means to me. I know how much it meant to me developing my friendship with you even as early as 14 years old. So I am not going to
Mm-hmm.
relinquish that because of a misunderstanding. So
Mm-hmm.
having that in mind, that is how I would approach any situation with you. And I'm sure the same thing, like you can criticize somebody or express how you're feeling from a place of love. It may be a little different. I can see where it can be difficult to do that, especially if you are feeling some type of way. But I also think that before it even gets to the point that you're full blown feeling some type of way, a conversation probably would have already been had. Right. So if, for example, I say something that's triggering to you and you express to me, Mox, that's triggering to me. It's my job to acknowledge and validate that and resolve it. Right. So it's like it doesn't become bigger than that. It's like you expressed yourself and I corrected myself and the end.
Right.
I wish it could be that simple in all relationships, but people are dynamic. As you said, relationships are very dynamic. It's not black and white. So but I think honestly, that coupled with the fact that our friendship is very easy, and I think we get each other in such a way that there's a lot that doesn't need explaining, is why we've been able to go this long without like this huge blow up of an argument, even just like an intense conversation. I don't think we've even had that. So,
Yeah. Because I think we've created such a safe space,
yeah,
like in our friendship,
I agree.
because, we are definitely vocal about like things that I might disagree with. I might be like, Mox, I don't really feel like you should be doing that. Or you might tell me, like, Jummie, I don't really feel like you should be doing that. But I never once doubt that, is this coming from a place of love? Is this coming from a place of being a hater? Because let's be real, some friends, because they're triggered about certain things, might unintentionally be haters, right? And I know that most of the things, if not everything that you tell me, I will say everything. I've never felt like, okay, she does not have my best interest at heart. You also give me grace to fumble, grow, and make decisions that, okay, might not be the best for me, but I need to learn them. And the vice versa for you, right? I think we always come from a place of love and understanding and just being like, hey, you're being hard on yourself. I may have made the same decision that you made. I get why you did that. And I think that on top of all of that, in terms of like creating the safe space, is allowing each other to authentically be who we are, right? You and I have very different personalities. You're more extroverted and I'm more introverted, right? Like I'm more like somber and you're like the life of the party. But I think that that dynamic in it of itself, for some reason, I've never seen it cause an issue within us as well. And I think that the safe space that we've created unintentionally, but now intentionally maintaining it, is really what makes it almost impossible to have a big falling out.
I
Because
agree.
like you said, like we don't let things fester. If I feel some type of way, I'm going to let you know. If you feel some type of way, or you feel like, okay, that was a little weird, you will let me know, and we talk about it, and then, we pick it apart, we dissect the whole situation from like 10,000 different angles, and then we're able to like move past that. And I think that that is such an incredible dynamic to have in an adult friendship, you
Yeah,
know?
no, I agree. I agree. I feel like, I mean, I can only speak for myself. This safe space that you're mentioning, you're right. In our adult life, I think, I mean, both of us can probably confirm that we definitely are operating from a position of intention in all the things that we do. I will say, though, that at 14, I learned very early on that you were my safe space, because again, I've, as I've mentioned before, I think I came into high school a little rugged, a little rough around the edges, because I was coming into an environment with a mindset that, typically clashes with the mindset of those that have only maintained going to schools. So, like, we went to a private high school. So, those that have only gone to a private high school, in my perception at that time, behave a certain way, think a certain way. And I was coming from a public school environment. So I was thinking and approaching things a certain way. So what's to come with that in an all girls environment, which we know that girls are catty to begin with,
Yeah, girls are
that like
catty.
there are going
Yeah.
to be a lot of misunderstandings. And me, who is new, no one owes me anything to give me grace or to see beyond the ruggedness. It's like they can make a decision right there and then, yeah, no, she's not for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like you gave me grace very early on. It could honestly, maybe it wasn't grace, maybe it was just that we clicked, but you taught me at 14 what it means to be seen, like fully seen in my my good and my bad, uh, that I am worthy of a friendship that is as meaningful and as strong as it was even at 14. Because up until that point, I had not had like a solid, like I had friends, I had, people that I knew, but I had not had that, like my person, I had not experienced that yet. And
Mm-hmm.
so were the you were the initiation to that, and that's why I really do favor our friendship the way that I do even till now, because I know that that's rare. I know that, especially again in an all girls environment, like you're trying to find yourself, you're trying to find people that may become lifelong friends. And so if you can find one among the bunch that ends up feeling like a sister to you, because I don't have sisters, I only have brothers. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like my sister that is not biologically mine. Like I think that's something worth fostering and protecting and investing in. And so yeah, you taught me that at a very early age. And so I feel like when I've gone on now into college and in my adult life and I'm fostering other friendships, I tend to use our friendship a little bit as like the blueprint.
Mm.
Maybe not directly, because that's not fair to the other
Yeah.
person because they are
Yeah.
not you, but I do look at the fundamentals that are in our friendship as, okay, well, does this friendship have X, Y, and Z? Because that's not a lot to ask for. Um, if Jummie can understand it, then this person that is trying to develop a friendship with me, and a close one at that, should be able to understand like my value system and what I hold true to, what is actual friendship.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Can I ask?
definitely have, set the standard for me. And again, there will be deviations from that because people are different,
Yeah,
but I
of
think
course.
more or less like our friendship, I think, is the standard. And I just love you.
Yeah, I love you too, babe. So now I want to talk about friendship breakups and why it's so difficult to kind of like make friends as an adult sometimes.
Yeah, so I'll touch on the breakup part. So
Mm-hmm.
they're the worst. I've had a few in my days. They are the worst. They're even worse than like a romantic breakup.
Yeah, they can be
It's
intense.
the absolute worst. I think, again, going back to just how you start to foster a friendship when you, so I'll speak for myself. You know, if I feel like, oh, you are morally good and you have all these beautiful traits about you know, you're giving me grace and you're doing all these things that made me want to cultivate this friendship in the first place. And then time goes on and we're just not gelling the way that we were gelling in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. I think in my case, I really do pour a lot into my friendships. And so the reason that some of my friendships have deteriorated is because it was not reciprocal.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and that has made me understand that like some people like to have good things without maintaining that good
Mm-hmm.
thing. And
Mm-hmm.
that goes with all relationships. I think a lot of women talk about that with like men, you know, like, oh, a man knows a good thing, but he doesn't know how to sustain that. The same thing goes with friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have me like inconveniencing myself, so to speak, to show up for you, supporting you, being an ear to you, loving you, caring for you, protecting you, giving advice that I think will is for your best interest, but still also playing my role and being accessible when you need me. And then again, because life can be unkind and life
Mm-hmm.
is just funny that way, I start experiencing my own hardship and to expect that same behavior from someone else, it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
um it that has been the worst feeling because you feel used.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one, you feel used. And then on top of that, you know, it also brings the question of, am I doing too much?
Mm-hmm.
Am I expecting too much? Is it, you know, is there something I missed? You
Mm-hmm.
know, where I'm operating in our friendship this way and the whole time the person has been operating that way and I just
Mm-hmm.
didn't see it. It brings all these questions into the forefront. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't pour from an empty well,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, you can't withdraw from an empty bank. So if people are not pouring into you and giving you the same love and the same tenderness that you've been feeding them, then it's unrealistic for you to continue that. You're going to get burnt out. And so I think at this point now, I have the friends that I care about deeply, and it's very well understood where I stand. I think, you know, as time goes on, friendships do have their ebbs and flows, and the dynamic of friendships do change. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
seeing that now currently. And so it's just trying to wrap my head around that, trying to give grace as we've mentioned, but also make sure that like what my needs are also being tended to.
Absolutely. Why do you think it's so hard for people to make friends in adulthood and maintain
In
it?
adulthood, yes. So I think one of the reasons, I think when you're in a environment that's pretty closed, so like school, for example, college, even
Mm-hmm.
a job, you know, you're seeing the same people every day, having conversations with them every day. I think it's easier. It's a very focused way of making friendships.
Mm-hmm.
In this new job that I have, I'm starting to like really develop rapport, but it's because, you know, you see those people every day. And so it's
Right.
just a natural thing for two people to come together.
Mm-hmm.
When you go out to an event, for example, a place you don't know, there are people you don't know, it's like, okay, I have to pretty much like shoot my shot at making friends. So you go to somebody and you just strike up conversation and hope that your starting point lands and they want to
Right.
talk to you, you know, and conversate with you. But I do think like most people that go out, they don't have that idea like, oh, I might actually make friends. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think as women, and you can chime in here, but like, I feel as women, when we go out, typically it's like, okay, I'm going out with my friends to have a good time. And in the event that I meet somebody, like if you're single, you know, if I meet somebody,
Right.
even better, you know, so you dress a certain kind of way and so on. And you go to even certain kind of places. So even as adults, I think, you know, there are groups that people join, you know, to like meet friends. And like, again, it's still very closed. So it's like the people that will come to the events from that group are people that join that group because they want to make friends, you know. So it's very
Yeah.
focused. I actually have joined one myself, as I feel like it's very corny, but I feel like, hey, I'm going to use all my resources because,
Right.
you know, like this area, I mean, apart
Yeah.
from Sean, you know, my boyfriend, I don't have any like friends in the
Mhm.
area.
Mhm.
So, you know, I joined like on Facebook, there's a downtown like Silver Spring group, and you know,
I
people
love
that
it.
join are like women from 25 to 35, and
Mhm.
they have like a chat, and like all the girls will kind of send in things going on in DC, things going on in
Mhm.
Silver Spring, and like everybody will coordinate and go. They just had like 2 outings over the course of like 4 days, you know, where they
Did you
all met
go?
up and went out for drinks and things. So I was too busy to
I was
go.
about to say,
But
I was
like,
like, I know you didn't go.
I didn't go. I was too busy. It was on a Tuesday
Yeah.
or Wednesday night or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
eventually I will go because again, I joined that group with intention. So I need to execute
Yeah,
with
you should.
intention. If I want to make
Yeah.
new friends, I can't just stay home. It doesn't,
Yeah, it
you
doesn't work
know,
like that,
it doesn't work
unfortunately.
that way. And I think again, with everybody coming to these social events with the idea, like I really do want to make more girlfriends in the area. Like just going into it with that intention, I think even makes it easier because there isn't that like, okay, well, what if they don't want to be friends with me? Or the person's looking at me like I'm weird going up to a girl at a club, like, hey, do you want to be
Mhm.
friends? Like,
Right, right, right.
um, so I
I
think
agree
joining
with
those kind
you.
of groups and just those type of activities also helps. Um,
But
just
you know what? But you know what though, Mox? I feel like, they have stuff like Bumble BFF. They have
yeah,
like
they do.
Meetup. I've been on Bumble BFF before. Um, like to try to see if I could connect with someone. But I think the issue is not connection when it comes to like making adult friendships. It's being able to maintain it that it turns into a legitimate friendship, right?
Mhm.
And I think the issue is that a lot of people, society in general, when it comes to the different types of ships, right? Like you have like romantic relationships, you
Yeah.
have like family relationships, and then you have, other types of relationships. But I think that friendship is like one of the lowest on that list because, friendship is different from other relationships because it's not like a relationship where you're obligated to talk to this person almost every day, right? It's like, even you and I, we talk all the time, but if for some reason, once in a while, we might not talk for 2, 3 days, 4 days, and, we might joke with each other, like, girl, where are you? But it wouldn't be like, you haven't reached out to me, like, this is a problem, right? So, friendship, friendships have this freedom to, like, being invested but not overly invested. Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense? So I
Yeah.
feel like as an adult, like, I hear a lot of people say they want to make friends, but it's like you said, the timing of it. Sometimes
Yeah.
you're meeting people, then it's like, oh, I can only meet up on weekends. It's like, well, if every single thing has to be planned around the weekend, and you are still trying to maintain existing friendships or whatever you may have, then that's already limiting your time because people are so busy. People want to work. But again, I just think that as much as people say they want to make friends in adulthood, I think sometimes it's not really prioritized or poured into. And like you said, it's easier to make friends when you're constantly seeing the person. In college, you're literally living on campus with your friends. High school, you're going to school with these people every single day and you have to talk to them, right? So in a way, like, we're not going out of our way to stay in touch. We're literally staying in touch because we are in the same exact place, probably working through the same exact things. But when you're, post college, high school, and all of that stuff in the real world, it's like, yeah, I would love to have more friends, but can I really, how easy is it to maintain that? And after you go like 2 weeks from not talking to that person that you hit it off with, it's very easy for the friendship to like fizzle out and not go anywhere
Yeah.
after that. That was just like some sort of observation I was having. And I think sometimes people like the idea of friends just for like clout.
Yeah.
but don't really want to pour into it, right? Like you just want to seem like you have 10,000 different friends, but how close are those friendships? I think for me, I like, if I'm going to call you my friend, like I want quality friendships. Like we're
Okay.
close. Like I can call you and be on the phone for 2 hours with you. It's not going to be crickets. We can have conversations about life and all these different things, but I find that a lot of people, they want friends, but it tends to be like surface level type of friendships as well. At least that's what I've noticed trying to navigate making new friends in adulthood.
Yeah, I mean, I do think again, if for example, joining these groups or like Bumble, what is it?
Mm-hmm.
Bumble Friends,
Bumble BFF.
Bumble BFF. Bumble BFFs. Like again, like two parties have the intention that okay, I'm looking to make new friends, but the level of that, I mean, I think anyway, the level of that friendship, like, and where that goes is like that has to be organic. Now, on the flip side, there are some friendships that no, it's not just going to be like an immediate thing, like oh, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
my soul has known you, right? It may take
Mm-hmm.
like spending time together and going out to events together and having conversations, that the beauty of you two coming together happens. But again, it takes two people, like having like just even one or two quality people, that it feels like sisterhood is really important for like the woman walk of life, right?
Yeah.
um and so they come with that intention.
Quality over quantity. Okay, speaking of
Yeah,
quality, let's talk about why friendships are important. Like I said, I think that society doesn't really rate friendships. Like people talk about having close friends and being grateful for them, but I think when it comes to, like, if you go on social media, every single thing you see on social media is about um relationship dynamics, romantic relationship dynamics, or if
yeah.
it's not that, people are talking about family dynamics and trauma and trying to work through those things. You rarely hear, at least from what I've seen, um you rarely hear conversations deeply talking about the importance of friendship. And I think friendship is extremely important and
Yes,
should be prioritized just as much as other relationships. Now, there's certain seasons in life where you need to prioritize your romantic relationship
of course.
over your friendship, or you need to prioritize certain things that are going on with family over your friendships, and you can't just pour into them, right? You're not going to be as available. Or let's say your career is taking off, right, and you're super busy, so that's why we talk about grace. But in general, it should still be like, this friendship is important to me and I need to find my way back to kind of nurture the friendship, right? So I just want to talk about the importance of friendship and how you feel like friendship, whether with me or whoever, has really transformed your life and added to who you are today.
Yeah. So, I mean, just the things that have gone on in my life, and I'm sure many others, most of the time when you need someone to talk to kind of dissect the situations or to vent
Mhm.
to, you're not going to your parents, right? Like,
Mhm.
you're not going to your parents. Your parents are for the serious discussions or for them to check up on you and see how you're doing, for you to check up on them, see how they're doing. But like the nuances that occur in a young adult's life, a lot of that information that you're trying to comprehend and understand it is with your friends.
Mhm.
A big part of who I am and how I think, or just how I perceive situations, is because of the discussions that I've had with you and many of my other very good friends. Um, I feel that a lot of the difficult situations that I've been in, I don't think I would have been able to deal with those situations in the manner in which I did without the comfort of my friends,
Mhm.
right? And so without friends, it can feel really isolating. It can feel very isolating. If you're somebody that fair, like you enjoy the comfort of your own company and like you don't need really anybody around, it's just you, yourself, and yourself, cool. But I just think that, like, as we all go through life and are experiencing different things, and a lot of those things are very difficult, and hard to bear sometimes. Like, it's your friends that will get you through those things. It's your friends that will stay up with you and talk through the situation with you. It's your friends that, will watch you make the same mistake over and over and try to coach you and counsel you to get out of, to stop doing that, to stop making that decision, but will
Mm-hmm.
still play their position and still be there for you because they love you. It's your friends that will celebrate you, or your true friends anyway,
Mm.
that will celebrate
Yeah.
you. It's your
Right.
and it's your
Let's get that
friends
right.
and it's your
Mm-hmm.
friends, I mean, and I'm going to just say close friends that, like, can turn into family. Like, when you go on to maybe get married and have kids of your own, depending on the
Mm-hmm.
level of that friendship, like, these now become family members that your children recognize, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
auntie
Mm-hmm.
so and so, uncle so and so. And those friends become a pivotal person in your child's life.
Mm-hmm.
That's major. And so I think friendship can really add a lot of color to somebody's life if you
Mm-hmm.
allow it to, and if you cultivate a really good circle around you. I think that friendship, for me anyway, like, again, quality over quantity, the quality friends that I have, you know make life more enjoyable, to experience different things with, if we're traveling or seeing one of you getting married, or, it's like, these are memories that we'll be looking at in our 70s and 80s and 90s, like, oh, like, how life was so beautiful because I had my sisters to go through that with. So I think those
Mm-hmm.
are things that I treasure, and is why I think friendship is very important.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I think good quality friendships, people that really have your back, are, like you said, they add a lot of color to your life and they offer you a different perspective on life.
Yeah.
Because when you're really close to people, you kind of see, you know, we're all unique and our lives are unique and we all come from different backgrounds. We have different things that influence who we are. And, when you're close to someone, you can kind of see the different nuances and you can see someone else's perspective on life, how they grew up, how they're shaping themselves to be who they are. And, you learn from each other. You support each other. You, like you said, you celebrate each other. And in those moments where your partner might be stressing you out and you need advice from a friend, right? Like, they're going to let you know if you're doing something wrong in this situation, if you're self-sabotaging yourself, people who are really looking out for you in a way that I feel like family and the person you're dating might not necessarily be able to do at the time, right? So I just think that friendship is so integral to society. And you hear a lot of people talking about how, like, they could be in relationships and feel lonely,
Yeah.
and they can have close family relationships and still feel lonely, and they're seeking out all these different things. But I think friendship creates that extended community outside of family and romantic relationships that are so important for mental health,
Yeah.
self development, self fulfillment. Like, these relationships play a role. And I think that, as a society, we're really doing a disservice by not championing friendships more. And, I think a lot of the problems relationships have today is because they're expecting one person to be so many different things, and that's impossible, right? That's why you have different friends for different situations, right? Like, you're not going to be able to experience life all the ways you feel like you can experience life with one person. And I think that's why nurturing friendships allows you to do that and allows you to feel more love and joy in your life. So I think friendships are just so important, and it's something that I'm grateful that I've learned, because as I move through life, when I get married and all that stuff, it's still going to be something that I'm going to heavily prioritize, right? Like, I feel like we should have like a girls' trip planned once a year where a couple of us just like go out and we intentionally decide to do something separate from family, separate from, our romantic relationships, and really foster that sisterhood. Because I think it's important, especially female friendships are so. If you're blessed to have quality women in your life that pray for you, that lift you up, that celebrate you, it is one of the greatest blessings I think anybody can truly have. So I'm thankful for you, sis. Like, you have been such a blessing in my life. You've taught me to be courageous. You've taught me to love unapologetically, no matter what anybody thinks. And you've taught me to give myself grace, because I can be extremely, extremely hard on myself. And you've taught me that through the way you love me and through the way you show up in this friendship for me consistently. So I cannot thank you enough. Like, you are truly a blessing and a gift in my life. And I pray that we stand the test of time. We've done so thus far. And no matter what challenges or misunderstandings that might come up ahead, even though I would be shocked
I would be
because I don't see that happening. No matter what it is, I hope that we continue to have a lot of love for each other to get through potentially difficult times, because this friendship has really shaped a lot of the person that I am today. So I really want to thank you for that.
Oh, babe, you know I don't play about you, so I'm gonna save the speech.
Period. Period.
I do
Period.
not play about you, but no, again, I can't say enough good things about you, and I just I just think back to my teenage self and just feeling like, okay, this person gets me. Like, to feel so misunderstood by so many people and to find one person that like sees you, understands you, and like never deviates from that. Like, it's like loyalty that from me that will never waver. So
And
you're
you know,
stuck with me. Like,
yeah, period. Yeah. You know, another thing too is like, I feel like I continue to learn new things about you all the time. As much as like,
yeah.
yeah, it's like I find out new things about you. I'm like, wait, what? Or like, you will tell me like there's some sort of memory that comes up from the past or something. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And it's so interesting because I feel like it keeps our friendship fun,
Yeah.
and,
Keeps it fresh.
fresh, keeps it fresh. Okay, so it's time for rapid fire questions to see how much we know, how well we know each other. We've been talking about, oh, we know each other so well, blah blah blah. Let's put it to the test. Let's put it to the test. Okay, what's my favorite dessert?
Your favorite dessert? Yikes. Is it cheesecake?
No,
Oh god.
it's not cheesecake.
Cake?
I'm no, it's not cake. I actually don't. I'm not a fan of
Is
cake
that
that
baked
much.
Alaskan thing? The one
No. Oh
the
my
oh my
god,
god.
Max, you should know this. It's a skillet chocolate chip cookie. It's mad basic. Skillet chocolate chip
Oh,
cookie
is that really your favorite
with
dessert?
vanilla ice cream on top. Yeah.
Oh, I again talk
You
about
probably
learning something
wait.
new every day.
How did you? I literally talk about this all the time. You
Do
probably.
you?
I mean, I don't. I'm not like a huge sweet person or dessert person, but I'm pretty sure I've said it around you
And I'm
before.
pretty sure you've had that, but like I've
But
never
you never put
put
two and
two
two
and two.
together.
Like, this is
Yeah, because not
actually
like,
her
oh,
favorite dessert, and that's why she's ordering
yeah.
it. Oh, okay.
Right, right, yeah. So like
Oh,
a skillet with the
those hit
okay,
though. Those are good.
no, those are
Those are
girl,
really good.
so good. Okay, what's your favorite dessert? I was just mocking you. First of all,
Mm,
do you even have a favorite dessert?
don't think so.
You don't have one.
No,
Exactly. I don't
I
think you have a
don't.
favorite dessert, but I think that things you might enjoy, like if we go out, maybe like those, those really soft small donuts or
Yeah,
something, or like a
those are really good. Yeah,
beignet.
I
Yeah,
tend to
but
actually opt for those.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you would opt for, but I don't think you actually have like a
No,
favorite dessert. I learned the other day that you obviously don't like cheesecake, so never
no, I
sending that to you again.
don't.
Um okay, what's my favorite type of music?
Afrobeats? Are you kidding me?
Period. I know your favorite.
Of course you do.
R&B.
Love me
You're
some
an R&B
R&B.
babe.
R&B.
You
I feel like R&B for me, just because I feel like my mind races a lot. I don't know why that is. It races a lot. I feel like
Mhm.
prior to this job, like the job, environment that I was in was like very fast paced. So it was just always
Mhm.
like fast, 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 like transition, just very chaotic to say the least.
Mhm.
And so I feel like
Mhm.
R&B really centers me, grounds me. It's like a very nice way to decompress from a long day, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Yeah.
Favorite food?
Rice,
What type of rice?
jollof rice.
Okay, period. Period. Am I that predictable? Yours is rice as well, but you're
Yeah.
not as specific. Any type of
No,
rice. So,
any kind of rice.
what is the most fun memory you've had during our friendship?
It was your
I know
birthday.
there's too many, but
Yeah, there's too many, but
oh,
definitely your birthday last year. We all
mm-hmm,
went into DC, booked an Airbnb, had good vibes, good
mm-hmm.
food, good
That
music,
was
and we all
so
went
much
out.
fun.
It was a lot of
Yeah,
fun. And like
and
again,
funny.
I feel, excuse me, I feel like, you know, most of your birthday celebrations were done in college. So it's like that was the one birthday that I was able to really fully participate and celebrate you. And what a way to start that off because it was really like a vibe. So that was my favorite so far.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was so much fun. I have a lot of good memories with you aside from like the birthday whenever we go out to eat and we're just like gisting and vibing. That's literally always a vibe.
Yeah,
So,
especially
yeah, I
because we
agree.
stayed till they close, like the
Yeah,
restaurant
that's a
closes.
that's
We
probably a
tend to
problem.
do that.
Yeah, it's like go home, maybe. Okay, final question. How would you describe me in 3 words?
Loving, caring, and obviously it goes without saying, I feel like, well, I'm starting to kind of see this now a little bit. Like, I feel like I know you well, but you do have like a little bit of like unpredictability. And it's like very slight things, which I think is great. Like I feel like you consistently are a certain way, and then you'll just kind of like throw a wrench, and then it's like, oh, to me, like I didn't like kind of like what you were saying, like, oh, I didn't know you do that. Or
Yeah.
like, oh, I didn't know you would do that. Like you have this interesting way of just like introducing things that you do that like doesn't go with like the status quo of how I know you. But I
Mhm.
guess it just goes to show you don't put people in a box, right?
Right, 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 exactly. Unpredictable, mysterious, period.
Yeah.
If I could describe you in 3 words, I would definitely say passionate.
Okay.
I think you're a very passionate person in everything that you do, especially in your relationships. You're very passionate. You're passionate at loving. You're passionate at caring. You come at it with like a
Very
hundred.
intense.
Yeah, but in a good way. It's not
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you don't
yeah.
come at it so intense where it's like some people are passionate about that because even when you were like, oh, you do certain things in friendships and you expect it back, but it's not like a crazy way of expecting it back.
Yeah.
Like you definitely give a lot of grace and all that stuff, but you're just a passionate person and you're passionate in your friendships, in your relationships, whatever you're doing that matters to you, you're passionate about that. You're extremely resilient. I feel like in knowing you and like life is hard and kicks us in the butt, but with some of the things that you've had to navigate and still kind of show up for yourself and show up for others, it takes an incredible amount of strength and like mental stamina to do that without like losing yourself or just crumbling and falling down under the weight of those things. So you are an extremely resilient person, and then you're also goofy. You don't take yourself too seriously, although you're passionate about the things that you're doing, and although you're resilient and you have to push through really hard things, it has not hardened you. You're super goofy. You add a lot of color to the people around you, and you're just really lighthearted and like carefree. So those are 3 ways I would 100% describe you. Well, all right, sis. That is it. That was a deep conversation, as we always do. We also have a ton of fun, but we kept it, we kept it
Kept
deep
it
this time.
structured.
We kept it structured this time, so people could, too many inside jokes. People would be like, "What are they talking about?" So, final words of wisdom to the listeners.
Yeah, I mean, just off the spirit of friendship, I definitely encourage those to just love on your friends, appreciate the beauty and the love that they bring to your dynamic with them. But if you're somebody that maybe is questioning your friendships, take a deep look, because I think it's worth reassessing friendships as well, especially those that are not serving you in the most positive way. As Jummie and I discussed with this podcast episode, friendships really do play a pretty vital role in who you are, how you think. So, of course, you want to surround yourself with people that will positively foster the kind of person that you want to be. But like, if you're somebody that has a solid group of friends, love on them, continue pouring into them, let them love you. And yeah,
that part.
understand that it's not a common thing to like need a good friend every day. So when you have those, really appreciate them and hold them close.
I could not agree with you more. Thank you, baby girl, for being on the show with me today. We will definitely have you many more times on the show.
Many more times to come.